Our patient has a neck laceration. We need to control bleeding. We would have gloves on and other protective equipment if appropriate. I have two ways of picking up the dressings. I can open the package and pick it up by the corner, or I can pinch it in the back. In this case, I think I will pick it up by the corner. I don't necessarily have to remove a dressing. And I'm going to fold it so it fits the angle of the laceration. We're going to say she has a laceration right about here. So I'm going to handle by the edges, being sure that the portions of the dressing I touch do not come in contact with the open wound itself. And I would come in and apply direct pressure. If the patient's sitting up, I've already got elevation. If she's laying down, she may not be capable of sitting up. And since it's a neck laceration, I have to take into consideration how deep it is. If I think it's deep enough to include large vasculature, I would want to come in once I've got the bleeding controlled and place an occlusive dressing over the top of this, so it would avoid having any air or debris sucked down into the wound site that could potentially lead to an embolism. Once I have the bleeding controlled, I would want to come around to the front where I can make good eye contact with the patient and do a mental status check and ask, what's your name?
Esther.
Esther, what's your last name?
Guerrero.
And can you tell me what happened?
I don't remember.
So, do you have any idea what time of day it is?
Yes, it's morning.
Okay. So, I actually asked a closed-ended question just then because I asked her, do you know what time of day it is? And she said yes. And she gave me the rest of the answer. Sometimes that won't happen. So, my best bet would be to say, what time of day is it? And if she can answer all those clearly and coherently, I know that she's alert and oriented. If not, she's alert and oriented, and if she can follow basic directions. And if not, I know there's an altered mental status, so it's going to tell me something about perfusion to her brain. What I'd like for you to do is take your left hand and place it on top of your head for me. There you go. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to make sure the bandage goes over the dressing. I'm going to come down under the opposite arm, and I don't want to get up into the armpit. I want to be careful that I do not get this too tight. I need to tell my patient what I'm doing so they don't get startled. And I'm going to come around and continue to do this until I have the dressing completely covered. I need to obviously continue talking to my patient throughout the entire bandaging, just so I can have constant monitoring of the patient. Once I get the dressing completely covered, then I just am adding padding so that it will maintain pressure on the injury. And then it looks like I'm not going to have enough to go all the way around one more time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to the back, and I could just tuck it in, but since this is upper body, it may not stay very well. So I'm going to come through, slide it through, bring it back up, literally doing a half hitch knot and snugging that down to snug it up. If I want it to be more secure, I could do that one more time. I'm just going to loop it through on itself. If I could use up all the bandage, that would be great, but I can take the rest of it. And of course, I always tuck in all loose ends. I tuck in the ends of knots. I never tie bows because Murphy's Law says it'll snag on something and take it loose. If you could, go ahead and put your hand back down for me. And I'm again going to ask her first name.
Esther.
And what's your last name?
Guerrero.
And what happened?
I still don't remember.
What time of day is it?
Morning.
Okay. And you see when she brought her arm back down, it did snug this up to help maintain pressure, but we never want to see the arm come down and the head be pulled off laterally to the side, because that tells us that we got it too tight to begin with.